Good morning, everybody. We're live here from the birdhouse, and it is a very exciting time of the year because spring migration is definitely in full swing. So, if your yard is anything like mine, it's getting all kinds of fun and different birds coming through it right now. So, as always, we love to know what kind of things you're seeing. You've probably started to see some different things that you haven't seen over the past few weeks. So, definitely share those in the comments. If you've got questions, you can throw those in there too. And or you could just say hi and say hello. So we will get started because there's quite a few different things that are rolling into the area right now. So first, I thought I would share with you. I saw this post yesterday. We talk about Birdcast quite a bit with their migratory predictions of how many birds will be flowing through an area at a time per night, because a lot of these songbirds are migrating at night. And this was a post yesterday from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and they posted, "This is a doozy of Migration Monday. 378 million birds are expected to take this to the skies tonight as they migrate to their breeding grounds. Birds migrate at night, so please remember to turn off your lights tonight to help prevent bird collisions with buildings." So this was the Birdcast report from last night going into this morning. So there was a huge migratory move last night. So don't be surprised if today you are suddenly seeing different things in the area or you're hearing different things. So don't be surprised about that because there was a huge migratory push last night. So just looking into the future here. So last night going into today, there was 378 million birds migrating through the area. Tonight going into tomorrow, it's predicted 329 million birds are going to be migrating through. And you can see on the maps here where the bright yellow is, where the lighter colors are, that's where most movement's going through. So tonight going into tomorrow, there's not a ton that's going to be happening through, at least where I am right here in Western New York. We've got some rain that's going to be happening tonight. It's probably why. But looking over the next couple of days, there's going to be lots of movement coming through. So this week should be really exciting in your backyards. And when you're out looking for some of these different birds, there's going to be new ones rolling in every night. So we'll give you a report of some birds that I've seen lately. Last week, we did a walk at Washington Grove, which is a wooded section of Cobb's Hill Park. And we saw lots of great birds, including really good looks at, if you look closely, you can see this barred owl here. I just snapped this picture with my cell phone. We got a really nice up close view, surprisingly, of a barred owl. We just did not expect to see that, but it was just perched there in a pine tree, just kind of resting and relaxing. And we all got really good looks at that. So that was really exciting. A good way to start that bird walk last Thursday. We do have some more walks scheduled, and we do also have things like telescope nights scheduled, and those start this week. So if you're interested in that, check out our website, which is thebirdhouseny.com, and check out the event section. We have a lot going on. Here's some footage from my bird feeder cam just from yesterday. There are some different birds that were rolling in. On the left-hand side here, it's kind of cut off a bit, but this is a chipping sparrow that visited. I've been getting tons of house finch. Here's the house finch here too. Lots and lots of house finch, but then also chipping sparrow. It's got this chestnut cap on the top of its head, and it's got a black streak that goes through its eye. So that is the chipping sparrow. Then I've also been getting a ton of white-throated sparrows. And here's a little video here of the white-throated sparrow. You can get a really good up-close look at it. You can see that white throat, and you can see the striping on the top of the head, and you can see the little yellow patch that's right next to its eye. And here's another video of it here. You can see that little yellow patch in between its eye and bill. Bright white throat. They don't all have that bright white throat. Some of them are a little bit more dull in color, a little bit more brownish in color, but here's a nice up-close view of that white-throated sparrow. And then later on in the afternoon, I started getting white-crowned sparrow too, which was really exciting. I was hoping I'd get some video of that, but didn't seem to get any captured on my bird feeder cam. And so on top of that, I also had a brown thrasher that showed up really, really briefly. I didn't get to snap a photo of it because it was there 1 minute and gone the next, but keep an eye out for brown thrasher. I saw one on while out walking yesterday too. So they're rolling in. They're a migratory bird. They're a mimic. So they will mimic the calls of other birds. Usually they repeat the song twice and then move on to the next. And be on the lookout for brown creeper. They've been creeping up my trees. Here's a brown creeper right here. They blend in really, really well with the bark of the tree. They've got a little decurved bill, so it curves down. And they're just a little brown bird that you can see just kind of creeping up the trees. And then they tend to get up kind of high in the tree and then fly back down to the base and do the same thing over again. And there's been lots of activity at the nesting ball that I put out. Of course, sparrows are going for it, and this chickadee has been going wild for the nesting ball too. So it's been pulling out that nesting material, must be nesting somewhere nearby. So really exciting time of the year in the backyard. And then also people are starting to report orioles as of last Thursday morning, I believe it was, or maybe last Friday. Oriole reports started rolling in. So it's just the very beginning of the season for orioles. So don't be discouraged if you don't see one yet, if you haven't seen one yet. Usually I don't see my first one in the yard until like mid-May, but people are starting to report them. So absolutely you want to get your feeders out right now. So make sure you give them some kind of combination of jelly and oranges and nectar. They seem to really love the jelly more than anything else. And it seems like early in the season, though, they're so hungry, they're just migrating in, that they want to eat it all. So they'll drink the nectar, they'll eat the oranges, and they will go after the birdberry jelly. And as the season goes on, usually they kind of fizzle from the nectar a little bit. Maybe they might fizzle from the oranges, but they will definitely keep eating the jelly. And then once their eggs have hatched, they tend to eat a lot of mealworms too. So usually in June, we suggest you adding some mealworms to the mix if you want to keep those orioles around. So we'll keep you updated about when the best time is for that. But definitely now is the time to put out your oriole feeders filled with the nectar and filled with the jelly and those oranges. And don't be surprised if you get other visitors coming to your oriole feeders. Things like gray catbird will also eat the jelly and eat the oranges. So you might get a mix of different birds coming to that oriole feeder. And then what about the hummingbirds? So orioles are starting to roll in. We're starting to see some of these early migratory birds, early migrants. And what about the hummingbirds? They usually roll in starting about a week from now. It's usually around May 4th and May 5th that we get the first reports of hummingbirds in the area. That being said, depending on where you live, right now might be the time to put out your feeders. So it's definitely time to get them out, get them cleaned, get your nectar going. And you can make your own hummingbird nectar with sugar and water. The recipe is 1 part sugar to 4 parts water. So you boil the water, add the sugar, and you're good to go. So not only is it migratory bird season, but it's also mason bee time. Now is the time to put out your mason bee house if you haven't already. If you're trying to attract these mason bees, now is absolutely the time to put out one of these houses. Noticed lots of insects starting to buzz around the yard, including butterflies are starting to come back. I saw a mourning cloak butterfly yesterday. And so the insects are starting to kind of stir and come out a little bit more. And you might see those cabbage white butterflies starting to fly around. As soon as those insects start to fly, that's when a lot of these migratory birds are also coming back around the same time. So if you want to attract more native pollinators to your backyard, mason bee houses are fabulous for that. The mason bees will take care of the of the egg laying and everything inside the house. All you have to do is put it up and they will find those little tunnels and they'll start laying their eggs inside. So there's been lots of bird activity around, things like eastern bluebird. And then here's a picture sent in by Mark J of a beautiful male eastern bluebird. They are definitely in the nesting process right now. If you haven't put out your bird houses yet, definitely do so now. It's not too late to attract some of these birds to nest, though, because some of them will have multiple broods a year. But now is absolutely the time you want to get those houses out for the birds. And then there's also been reports of eastern towhee. Here's an eastern towhee right here, sent in by Mark. They have kind of a chestnut color sides, black and white bird. The females are more brownish in color, where the males have those black patches. The females are a little bit more brown. We saw one of these last Thursday on the hike as well. It was the first bird that popped out right on the trail. We all got to see a really great view of it. Almost right at 9 a.m. when the walk started, boom, there was an eastern towhee. So they are around, they sing and sing and sing. They have that call that sounds like drink your tea, and they are coming back to the area. Don't be surprised if you see them underneath your feeders too. So lots of eastern towhee sightings rolling in. And then rose-breasted grosbeak is another bird to be on the lookout for. And just as I was compiling and finishing off photos for this morning, we had this one sent in by Anne, who snapped this photo from her beak view camera of a rose-breasted grosbeak, and that was from, you can see the timestamp here, 6:22 in the morning. So they rolled in, some of those probably just rolled in last night, and they were visiting her feeder right there. So the rose-breasted grosbeaks are coming back to the area as well. If you're trying to attract things like rose-breasted grosbeak, you can always put out safflower seed. I have really good luck with safflower attracting birds, like, of course, cardinals, but then also the rose-breasted grosbeaks, especially because the safflower doesn't get eaten by as many birds, so it tends to last longer. So it's always kind of there. I've got my sunflower seed mix in one or in a couple different feeders, but then I also keep some safflower separate because the birds don't eat that as fast. So I always know there's something there for migrants like the rose-breasted grosbeaks that are coming in. So not only does safflower seed attract those birds, but it also is not the favorite of birds like the grackles and the starlings. So if you're having that, birds like that, decimating your feeders and just throwing seed everywhere, you might want to switch to some safflower seed to kind of discourage them for a little bit. And then there's definitely red-winged blackbirds that are flowing in. The male and the female now, I've been seeing both of them. People are reporting them at feeders. They are also seeing them in the marshes and any place with water and cattails. That's perfect nesting habitat for the red-winged blackbirds. So they are definitely rolling back in. The male is there on the left and the female on the right. So the female looks quite a bit different than the male does. And there have been a lot of ruby crown kinglets around. I've been seeing a ton of ruby crown kinglets. My haiku box is picking up ruby crown kinglet. Anytime I go out for a walk, my Merlin app is pulling in ruby crown kinglet. And I've been seeing a lot of them hopping around in the trees. And here's a picture of one here. So right now is the time where if you see a lot of little birds hopping around, could be ruby crown kinglet, could be golden crown kinglet, could also be a type of warbler because the warblers are coming in too. But here's a picture sent in yesterday of a ruby crown kinglet from Walter. And you can see the little tiny patch of the ruby on the top of its head, which you don't always see. So it can be a little deceiving, but look for that bird with that kind of white around the eye. It doesn't have the full eye ring. It has what's called the broken eye ring. And then it's got the yellowish the little yellowish wash on its wings. So lots of ruby crown kinglets have been around. And then the warblers are starting to roll in. We'll do a talk just on warblers coming up because there's so many different kinds. We have over 30 different types that you can regularly see here where I am. And here are some of the first ones that are rolling in for the season. Things like yellow-rumped warbler. I've been seeing a lot of them hopping around. Palm warbler is coming back. They are a very yellowish colored warbler with a little chestnut cap on the top of their head. They are back. And this picture of a yellow warbler was sent in by Mark. So we've got lots of warbler activity that is about to come into the area. So now's a good time to kind of start learning some of the early ones so you can get those down for when there's a bigger mass of warblers coming in. So these are the ones you're most likely to see right now. Yellow-rumped warbler are pretty common. They're very, very numerous. The palm warbler, there's a lot of warblers that are yellow in color, but they're not all yellow, called the yellow warbler. So this palm warbler has a lot of streaking and that chestnut colored cap. And then there is just a warbler called the yellow warbler, and that's this one here. Very yellow in color, usually perched high up on a tree or on a shrub, singing its little heart out, and it's got those chestnut streaks on its breast. A couple of photos there sent in by Mark of the yellow warbler. And several years ago, I'm not sure exactly what year it was, there was a year where people were getting a ton of black-throated blue warblers around this time coming to their oriole feeders. What happened is they were migrating in, and then I remember the weather got quite cold, so I'm wondering if the insect activity kind of fizzled for a little bit, and they were hungry, and they started coming to oriole feeders. It's just one year it happened several years ago, but I like to share this photo because you never know what might happen. You might just come across something like a black-throated blue warbler coming to your oriole feeders this time of the year too. It's a really exciting time of the year. So some other birds to be on the lookout for. Here's a belted kingfisher picture sent in by Mark. They're here all year round, but I've been seeing a lot more of them around now too. So here's some belted kingfisher pictures. Some really fun photos there sent in by Mark. If you're looking up to the sky, there's been a lot of turkey vultures rolling in. You might also see things like red-tailed hawks flying around. Over at Braddock Bay, they are going strong with their hawk count. So if you're interested in what kind of birds of prey might be rolling in, or just birds in general, that's a great place you can go locally. They've got a hawk watcher out there every day, keeping a tally on how many birds migrate over. So that's a wonderful place to go, especially on nights where we've had a big migratory push. It's always fun to go there and see what kind of things might have flown in for the day. Some more photos sent in by Mark. Here's some photos from Montezuma. You might see Caspian tern coming in. If you see something that looks like a gull, but it looks a little off, take a closer look, because it could be a Caspian tern. I saw some of these over at Irondequoit Bay last week. They've got black on top of their head, but look at that bright orangish reddish bill. And here's some more Caspian terns over at Montezuma. The Caspian tern and the bald eagle here. And actually there's a great blue heron in the background. I didn't notice that. Sent in by Mark. Osprey. Osprey is another bird of prey that is flowing in now too, coming back to the area for breeding season. And they like to be by water. They eat almost 100%, basically 100% fish. So you can always find them by the water. And if you are looking at the water and looking for ducks, you can find things like this little pied-billed grebe. It's got that little streak that goes through its bill. Really cute little water bird. And of course, herons are coming back. Great blue heron, there's green heron, there's black-crowned night heron, bitterns. They are all coming back into the area. So it's a really exciting time of the year. We will keep you updated on what birds are coming in. And as always, send in your photos. We will share your photos about the different birds that you are seeing. And it's always fun to share everybody's pics. So you can definitely send those in to us either on our Facebook page. You can email them, or you can send them in via Instagram too. Steel Monkey is on, says, "Hi Liz, I have all my feeders out. I'm ready, but still nothing, waiting patiently." Yeah, it can be hard when you see other people's pictures of things that they're getting, and to not have anything yet can be discouraging, but give it a little time. They are on their way. So there's going to be a lot of migration movement over the next couple of weeks. Steel Monkey also says, "I had such a good showing of Orioles last year. I'm hoping for a repeat." Yes, hopefully. Fingers crossed for you that you will. Lynn says, "Good morning. Do finches like their own pole?" Thanks. They don't necessarily need their own pole. They get along well with other birds. They don't chase off other birds. Larger birds might chase off your finches if you get a lot of grackles or woodpeckers or blue jays. Sometimes they'll chase off the smaller birds. So if you're seeing that happen, it couldn't hurt to give them a separate pole. Otherwise, I mean, I keep my finch feeder on the same pole with my sunflower seed feeders. I always keep my oriole and hummingbird feeders separate on separate poles, just because the orioles are kind of skittish. Those hummingbirds are really territorial, so those I always keep separate. But it really depends on your situation. So if you're noticing the finches getting harassed, if you will, by other birds, then I would put it on a separate pole. Otherwise, I think you're just fine. And Steel Monkey says, I'm not discouraged. I know all those people that have claimed to see them so far are lying. Yes, yeah, where's the picture to prove it, right? So yeah, it's definitely an exciting time of the year with all of these birds rolling in. Keep us posted on what kind of things you're seeing. We are fully stocked here at the store with oriole feeders, hummingbird feeders, jelly, all the nesting balls and nesting material you could want. So definitely stop in. We've got what you're looking for to attract the birds, and you can shop online all the time, 24/7 at thebirdhouseny.com. So that is everything we have for you today. We'll keep you updated as the migration season goes on about what is coming in, and we will talk to you soon. Have a great day.